Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Command List. It's me, Raging Demon here, and this is going to be a news episode. But before I get on to the news, and there's some big news because obviously EVO France is happening and there was a big game announced, I just want to do a little bit of housekeeping and plug the Patreon. So for those who aren't in the Patreon, there's a lot of content behind the Patreon. There's a lot of the old episodes, so only the latest 15 episodes are on the free feed. But there is a lot more in the backlog. It's not just episodes with me and Chaotic Jim. There's bonus episodes. There's solo episodes. There's all sorts of stuff behind there. And also on the Patreon, there's videos, playthroughs, all sorts of other stuff. So I have my Ultimate Frugal spin-off podcast where I talk about affordable games. There's topical episodes where I do 10 to 15 minute episodes on topics that I find interesting in fighting games. So there's all sorts of stuff behind the Patreon paywall. And it's only $2.50 US to join the Patreon. So for many, I know that might be a lot, especially if you subscribe to other things. But for the value, for the things I include, I feel it's fair. And if you really do like the content, I would really appreciate it if you join the Patreon and support the podcast. Otherwise, it's all good. Keep listening to the free feed. I'm still going to put good stuff on there. I'm still going to, well, I think it's good anyway, and I hope people agree. But I'm still going to be putting stuff on there. You'll still get the odd bonus episode every now and then. You'll just get things a little bit later, and you won't have access to the back catalogue or some of the other episodes. So I would really appreciate that. Other ways you can help out, grow the channel, is liking the YouTube videos, giving 5 stars on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. All of these things help, and I am appreciative of all of this stuff. I do run promotions and finders rewards for Patreons and things like that. So reach out to me, message me, and I do a lot of discounts and things like that as well. So I really am trying to grow the channel and grow the podcast, the YouTube channel specifically, I mean, and I do appreciate all the support. If you enjoy the content, of course. No pressure. So on to the news. So this week was a big week. We had EVO France, and it was the first EVO in France, and so far as I can tell from what I watched, it was a massive success. The only black eye in the event, and not everyone's going to agree with this, is that there was no Mortal Kombat 1. The best-selling fighting game of this generation was not represented. Now, I know NetherRealm Studios said they're not going to add new content DLC, but they're still doing patches. It's still competitively viable as a game, and I feel like it's a bit of a shame it wasn't included. So that's just my opinion, but I really think there's a little bit of an unfair bias against Mortal Kombat at times. Put aside the fatalities and the gore, people might not be into that, but I really felt like it should have been repped, especially since you got much older, less successful games. And I know just because a game sells well doesn't mean it's competitively fun or anything like that, and I totally get that. That's fine to have that opinion too, but I just feel like, it's bad enough that Smash isn't there anymore without omitting Mortal Kombat. Now, I understand why the Japanese do it, and I still disagree with that, and I would say excluding Virtual Fighter as well was a big black eye on this event. But aside from that, it was a fantastic event. I do hope they have more in Europe. I hope they bring EVO all around the world, to be honest. It just, the atmosphere, the broadcast, I watched all the Tekken stuff and a lot of the Street Fighter stuff. I watched the final of Guilty Gear as well. I had a great time watching that. The commentary was great. Even the games I don't know very well. So, yeah, I can't praise it enough except for those minor gripes I have with it that I just mentioned. But also announced at EVO was something that if you can do the thought remembering sound effect in your head right now, I might add it in, I might not, is on episode 7 of Command List, me and Jim came up with the top 5 list of fighting games we want to see made of existing IP. And one of the ones I brought up, and I would like to see this done in a 2D Blaze Blue or Guilty Gear kind of style, and preferably a tag game. It doesn't look like it's going to be a tag game by what we saw with the trailer footage, but is Avatar Legends. So this is the Avatar, The Last Airbender series, not the Blue People Avatar. And this fighting game looks sick. Just the idea of the elements and the bending of special attacks and all that sort of thing is just awesome. You can have all past avatars because it's called Avatar Legends. So you got characters from different timeline or different periods of time and that sort of thing. It's such a good idea to make this, and it could be an amazing game. So I hope they do take the Blaze Blue style. I hope it's simple but not too simple. Right? So I want it to be beginner friendly, but I also want it to be a true fighting game as well, right? So although I like Dragon Ball Z Fighters, I think that's a great game. I'd rather it not be that style. There is already a Dragon Ball Z Fighters. We don't need another one. So it didn't look that way. It looked more akin to a traditional 2D fighter. So hopefully this game is a success. They showed Korra, Aang, Zuko, and who else did they show? And some of the supers, particularly Zuko, transforms into that blue ghost or whatever he's called. I'm blanking on it. But the idea of having a boss fight with Ozai, or what's the guy? Zahir, the guy, the airbender guy who can float. This sort of thing is just going to be sick. I couldn't be more excited about this. I'm so glad this has come to fruition. I'd like to think that my wanting this willed it into existence, but it's probably not the case. It's a huge franchise. Lots of people love it. Probably not the case. Definitely not the case. And these games take development time. So I'm very excited that they're doing this. Now we need the Ruby one. So that's another one I want to see come to fruition. So this is exciting news. It's going to be a pre-order day one for me. I'm not sure what I'm going to get it on yet, but my history with this sort of thing is I'll probably get it on multiple platforms. I'll probably get a physical copy if it's not a game key card, that is. I don't do that shit. So, yeah. So super exciting news. And we'll talk a little bit of Xbox as well. It's not fighting game related. It is and it isn't. It's just Xbox increasing the price of Game Pass. Well, I think Game Pass is a great value product. I'm an Xbox guy. I like Xbox. I can't help but I can't overlook the mistakes Xbox make. One, increasing the price of the console when they're losing in sales to PlayStation. Two, increasing Game Pass even though they're making a profit. I know the Game Pass is worth more than they charge, but a 50% increase is huge. It's going to put a lot of people off. It did put a lot of people off, and it's not a smart move. Lowering the cost of the hardware and then, keeping Game Pass the same, try and get some people back in more exclusives. This is how you win this race. And if they really want to go to cloud gaming as a platform and sort of abandon hardware, that's fine. I know that's probably an inevitable future for all of them, but I'd rather see physical and hardware persist. Otherwise, I'm just going to buy games on Steam, right? Or PlayStation for as long as they hold out. I do like Xbox. I am a huge fan of Xbox, but I can't support these dumb decisions. I just can't. I can't defend it. And I'm also not a fan of people who are diehards about Nintendo or PlayStation attacking and saying this is funny and it's good. It's not good. Less competition is not good. It's not good for anyone, right? When we think about retro games and the peak of gaming, we think of things like the 16-bit war between the Mega Drive and the Super Nintendo. We think of the Xbox 360, PlayStation 3 era. We think of these things. We don't think of times where one console dominated or a company went out of business or that sort of thing. It's really, in my opinion, not good for any consumer, especially given how greedy and how scummy some of the practices of these companies are at the moment. They do good things too, but we need to, as consumers, make noise about this constructively, of course. So this is just something I wanted to bring up. I'm an Xbox guy, but I'm not a fan of this. And if they're going to go extinct, I've got a PlayStation, I've got a PC. It's just where my gaming will go. So it's just a shame because I prefer fighting games on my consoles, or even just to the Switch. But again, Nintendo, game key cards, shitty netcode, where they've got their issues too. So, and they never discount games and all sorts of shit like that. So, that's my little rant about that. Over. So let's get on to EVO France. Now, like I said, I watched Tekken. I watched Tekken in its entirety. I watched most of the Street Fighter finals, and I watched a little bit of Guilty Gear. Now, I can beat Guilty Gear on the hardest difficulty, but that is not by no means making me a Guilty Gear expert. That's a me beating Extreme Nagoriyuki expert. Now, when I watch Guilty Gear, I find it difficult to follow what's going on sometimes, and I'm sure a lot of people are in that bucket. But I think the premier game to watch at EVO is always Tekken. Tekken, for me, is the fighting game for the fighting game fans. You may not be good at it or enjoy playing it as much as Street Fighter, but as far as a spectacle goes, I love watching Tekken. Competitive Tekken is fucking awesome. The Street Fighter finals were good too, and it's no surprise that Arslan Ash won again. Now, he came from the losers bracket and he won all the way through, right? And this is incredible because he was on the ropes a lot of times. Now, like in any sport, and I do consider this as much of a sport as any other sport, cricket, rugby, football, doesn't matter. To me, these athletes, they suffer from similar problems to every other athlete. There was a few times Arslan Ash had no business winning those fights, and it was purely composure that got him through. Now, you watch, he was on the ropes lots of times, and people couldn't close it out against him. Now, this is something that obviously a lot of them are young, they'll learn from. And the results were really good, and good European representation, good international representation. I'm just going to get the notes and the results up here. So I'll just go over Street Fighter real quick. Now, Lashar, I watched that fight. Now, he used Ed primarily, and he dominated with Ed. So it was Blaze. He was fighting in the final. Blaze only kind of got back in it when he, which I thought was pretty funny, he swapped to Elena, and he nearly got the dub with Elena, but by swapping to Elena, he enabled Blaze to reset the bracket. And but in the end, Lashar got it done, and got it done comfortably once he switched back to Ed. Right, so that was so we'll just go over the top three. We get Lashar, Blaze, Kobayan, and so there was we'll just talk about some of their mains too. So Lashar was Ed, Terry, Elena. Blaze was Ryu, Ken, Sagat. I mostly just saw him play as Ryu. And Kobayan was a Zangief main. So it's good to see a good spread of different characters too. So that was entertaining to watch. But again, the final was a bit of an anticlimax, aside from when Lashar was fucking around and chose Elena. That one wasn't, in my opinion, Blaze has got a long way to go to beat Lashar. But Tekken 8 was the interesting one. So yes, Arslan Ash won again, but it was close, and he came all the way from the losers bracket too, and the crowd was cheering against him. Which, again, I don't know if this is just because people want to see someone new win or because it was in Europe. I have no idea, but in the end, he's a professional. He got it done, and it was very entertaining to watch. And it did go down to the last set. So Arslan Ash beat John Ding, and he played the Williams sisters. He played the original Williams sisters. He played Nina and Anna, and John Ding played Eddie and Nina. Fergus did very well and got through to the winners bracket. He was from Ireland. He's from Ireland. He's still from Ireland. And Fergus did very well with Asuka. Asuka was strongly represented, and what was cool to see was also there was a Yoshimitsu mains in this top 8. So John Ding finished second, coming all the way from the winners bracket, but then ultimately losing to Arslan Ash, who just went on a bit of a streak through the losers bracket, had some very close calls, and just couldn't, Again, low-high, did great. Kane and Trench was entertaining with Yoshimitsu. King Ray Jr. nearly got Arslan Ash a few times too, if I'm remembering correctly. This American guy, he really couldn't close out. He had Arslan on toast so many times. But again, that's just I think maybe inexperience or a little bit of nerves. I would like to see him learn from that. It's such a shame he didn't get a better result, but that's how it goes sometimes. Like I said, you can see Arslan Ash, he holds his nerve and he closes shit out. So that was a fantastic finals to watch, especially since the French crowd were really vocal. The Vitality, I believe, is the team that John Ding was from. They were cheering and they had a cheer squad. That was cool. So yeah, it was fun to watch that. Guilty Gear Strive, didn't watch too much of it, but it was a Tiger Pop as ABA and Happy Chaos, and Patachu, he's a French guy, I believe. He played as Sin and Elful, and yeah, a shame to see he didn't get up, right? It would have been nice for a French champion at the French event, so the home crowd could have got their hometown hero, but again, it doesn't always go the way the script is written. So, and Andros finished third, playing as Potemkin. he pulled off something pretty crazy. I didn't understand it, but everyone seemed to be very impressed. The commentary team seemed to be super impressed and said, you just don't see that in competitive play pulled off. And it was a big string combo, then a finisher. So that was really cool. It looked really cool. Like I said, I don't always fully understand what's going on with Strive, even though I've played it a lot. It's just not as, it's very fast. There's a lot of shit going on the screen. It's not as fun to watch as Tekken, in my opinion. So, and the fact that Tekken's, best is first to 3, whereas most of the others are, best of 3. I prefer that format because getting that third win is the trick, right? And that's where you can see a lot of people struggle against Arslan Ash. Grand Blue Fantasy versus Rising, Usagi and Pixie finished second. Sorry, or was it Low Wayne? Sorry, it's got the teams first in the results here, and I'm not as familiar with this franchise. Space, and yeah, he or she was third. I didn't see that. I don't think I can't remember. It doesn't ring a bell, but yes. So that was Grand Blue Fantasy versus Rising. Apologies if I don't know that much about Grand Blue. I have played it. I think I did a no, that would have been Melty Blood. I did an Ultimate Frugal on Melty Blood, not Grand Blue. I do own Grand Blue. I just haven't really put any time into it yet. Fatal Fury City of the Wolves. I haven't watched these highlights yet, but I do like Fatal Fury City of the Wolves aside from Ronaldo and Salvatore Ganassi. That's fucking stupid. Take them out the game. But Zhao Hai as Hotaru 1 and Kindevu as Kine or Kane, however you want to pronounce it, and Abu Omar as Dongwan. That was the top 3 for Fatal Fury City of the Wolves, and I'm probably going to go back and watch that. But as this is a news episode and it's just a short one, I just wanted to give off the quick news and keep it current and up to date. So I don't do a lot of news, but I think I'm going to start doing more, and it's trying to be a more well-rounded fighting game podcast covering other things besides just old games or topics that are on my mind. I want to try to get a bit more comprehensive. So hopefully people like this little short news episode. But the fighting game scene is as strong as ever. It was great to watch. It's good to see them move the tournaments around and not just be Las Vegas, Japan. I'd like to see this more. As a person who lives in Australia and has a sort of, and is very isolated at times from in-person events, I would like to see EVO travel more. It will be good to see an Australian EVO someday as well. Obviously, it would be in Melbourne or Sydney or somewhere like that, but it'd be really nice to be able to travel and watch that. One day I'll probably travel to the States and watch it in Vegas or Japan, but yeah, it was cool. And like I said, it was a shame there was no Virtua Fighter 5. There was some more Virtua Fighter 6 gameplay shown, but it appears the blocking isn't as cool in the latest one that I saw. Hopefully they find a way to make that, because that blocking was the highlight of the early trailers. And I know that wasn't actual gameplay footage, but that got a lot of people hyped up for a bit of an innovation in the fighting game genre. But yeah, so Virtua Fighter 5 not being there, especially since they're coming up with a cross-play version of the one that was released on Revo, that was released on Steam, and that's coming out on Switch 2 and stuff. I think that should be in there. And also, I would like to see Mortal Kombat get a bit more love. I don't feel like that was a fair exclusion. Just because they've stopped adding DLC and stuff doesn't mean that it's not the best-selling fighting game. And I like watching Mortal Kombat as well. Final Kombat just did happen. I believe it was Mexico City. I think I did a quick episode of that. Sorry if I blanked on it, but yeah, I think Mortal Kombat belongs to EVO, and so does Smash. Nintendo, Stop being dickheads. Stop being cunts. Let Smash be at EVO. So, yeah, so that rounds out. I might even, while I'm at it, go over some of the side tournaments that weren't on the main stage. If I've got them up, let's have a look. Because there was some legacy games there too. So let's go. Sorry, everyone, for the short delay getting this up. But they did have Ultra Street Fighter 4. Oh, and the Dragon Ball Z results. Let's go over that. Hikaru and Super Baby finished second. Was it? No. Gropus, sorry. Gropus. Wade was third, right? So, and it seems Super Baby 2 tends to be the a very powerful character. But Blue Gogeta Vegito Android 17 was who Hikari used to win this tournament. Sorry, Z Fighter fans, if I didn't do that justice. Okay, and we'll go to some of the more classic games. Ultra Street Fighter 4. We had Gagapar as M. Bison, AJ as Sagat, and Link Zello as Elena. Street Fighter 3 Third Strike. Otana as Ken. Whoa, this is a bit of a Gil Stole My Ride. Great, that's a great Gil Stole Their Ride as 12, and Daz as Chun-Li. So that's obviously still a strong scene. And speaking of neglected series, Capcom make a new one. We have Vampire Savior, Darkstalkers results as well. We had Carl Key Keta as Morrigan. Who we got? Licky Minaj, I love that. Felicia, and we had Kajok as Sienko. So that was the top 3 there. So yeah, they had some legacy stuff there. There's full results on the Event Hub's webpage for EVO. So that's pretty sick. And take the time to watch some of these. If you don't get time to watch it live, that's cool. Just watch Tekken at least. It's a very entertaining watch as far as esports go. It was a fantastic tournament. EVO France I would put down as a massive success. So unless there's some more fighting game news that I can't think of off the top of my head, that'll be it for me. Don't smash your controllers. Hope you enjoyed the episode, and I'll see you in the next one.